Good morning, Lori. Good morning, everyone. I see you guys jumping into the room. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you, Lori?
Doing good. How are you doing today, Lauren?
I'm doing good for a Wednesday.
Oh,
Just halfway there, right?
I don't have children, so I never know. Have we officially started summer yet for our kids out of school or anything yet?
Well, not for LA County. They get out of school in June. So it's like
Okay.
June 15th, 14th, around in there.
So it's right around the corner when you're going to be, and all the mothers and fathers are going to be pulling their hair out more, correct?
Exactly. Exactly. I need somewhere to send them.
Yeah, hey, I know right around that time it makes a major difference. Well, we're going to have a pretty exciting show today, Lauren.
I'm excited.
I'll let you get started on whatever you want to get started, and then we'll come back and we'll chat about what we're going to do.
Okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and share my screen and I'll do a quick intro. Can you see my screen okay, Lori?
Sure can.
Perfect. So again, good morning, everyone. My name is Lauren Simpson. I'm with the SBDC, or the Small Business Development Center. We are a national program with over 1,000 locations throughout the country. So regardless of what state you're in, you should be able to connect with a local SBDC office. And you'll want to do so because we offer no cost services to local small businesses, and they're at no cost to you because your tax dollars have already taken care of the fees. So you might as well partake in free resources. For the Los Angeles network, which is the network that I represent, we serve communities throughout the Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. And so on the map in front of you, you can see our various locations. And then again, you'll want to connect with one of our local offices because we offer no cost business advising. And so you're able to get in contact and work one-on-one with one of our business experts, like the fabulous guru of all numbers, Miss Lori Williams, as well as experts in business planning and taxes, as well as marketing. You name it, we've got it. So be sure to get connected with us. And then we also offer virtual trainings, much like the training you have joined today. We're here to help everyone, so please get in contact with us for the LA area. You can reach out to 866-588-7232 or online at smallbizla.org/new client. For those of you who have joined us outside of the LA area, you can connect to americassbdc.org/find your SBDC. And then really quickly, Lori, we have the California Dream Fund going on. Registration is open, so please be sure to log on to smallbizla.org/dream fund. And all new businesses, please apply, or please register, and you have the ability to go through our training program, graduate, and then on to the application process, where you have the opportunity to receive a grant from $5,000 or $10,000, So again, reach out to that URL so that you can see additional information. All right, Lori, I've done my spiel.
I got a little spiel that I'm going to do real quick, and it's just a few announcements, and then we're going to jump into the excitement. For those who are new, just so you know who I am and my background, but let's go into the fact that I just want to tell everybody that you probably already know, but the EIDL program is now discontinued. Do download your data from the website. The website will be going down if it's not already. If you are in the middle of a reconsideration or a request for an increase, all are stopped. And some of the people, I've gotten emails back saying, but I was in the process. So I just want to explain that the money with the EIDL was a vote from Congress to have that money allocated. So like many funds that go through our government, the minute that the fund's gone, the program must be discontinued. It doesn't matter where you are. Now, if you already had a loan signed and they agreed to fund it, that will go through because they already allocated that money. But if you didn't have the increase signed, the actual docs signed, and they probably funded most of it or in the process that they're already planning on, it's completely done. So I wanted everybody to know that so they didn't feel as though there was still an option. So, hey, guess what we're going to do today, Lauren? Oh, you're on mute.
You think by this point I would know if whether or not I was on mute. I'm sorry.
Okay. Hang out today.
I bet we're going to solve a problem, but Lori, tell me what problem we're going to solve.
We're going to solve a big problem, Lauren. So here's what's going on. You know, I always kind of come up with what I want to do, and I have the Ask Lori sections because of what's going on in my consulting world, right? So we're going to solve a big problem, but I have to say, you know, I'm not trying to be a bummer on things, but I'm going to tell you the problem we're going to solve, and then I'm going to tell you all the uses of it. So I mentioned that the idle funds are no longer available, right? And so there's not really an influx of new funds coming in. So a lot of the companies that I've been talking with, they're concerned about what the future is going to hold. And there's a few unfortunate ones that have gotten to the point, Lauren, they're out of cash. They're just out of cash. They have no other choices, okay? Now, what I want, you know, I'm always talking about CFO kind of skills and what CFOs have. And now, CFOs, when they're managing companies, we run out of cash too. You know, I'm not saying that doesn't ever happen, but we know exactly when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and we try to plan accordingly, right? And we use skills, we use tools, and I bet you know what kind of skills, tools, an Excel document. We use an Excel document. And so we look at a forecast that allows us to say, when are we going to be out of cash? What will the situation look like? How much time do we have to make choices? What can we do to make choices? And, you know, even when companies are doing well, we're using such skills because we're saying, when is the cash flow going to be gone? What do I need to do? How much sales I need to come in? So we're asking all those kind of questions, right? So what I'm trying to do today in the most simple way I possibly can is give start with a blank Excel document, but give people an understanding of what they can do to monitor the cash and how they can look at this. So everybody can kind of get their hands around the situation. Because right now we're at it where you've got to kind of get a grip saying, this is where my company's at, this is where it's going, and this is what I need to do. So how about that for what we're going to do today?
Okay, so that sounds amazing. But I bet you're not going to send us a template.
Oh my God, you know, absolutely not. I am not sending a template. It is not going to happen because I personally believe templates are the evil of the small business world. Everybody's been sold a template. I tell you, this happens on a weekly basis, Lauren. I get people either saying, how do I fill out the template? Or they go, I filled it out and I don't know what it means. You have to know what these things mean. And just in the last 2 weeks, I've had people use this software that I said, I can't even tell you what number they're expecting because it's behind the scenes calculation. So I'm not going to give you a template, but we're going to build one together and I'm going to show you how to do this. So that's what we're going to do. And then the last thing is I'm going to hang out someplace differently today, Lauren.
Where are you going?
I am going in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Party in the chat, right? I'm going to go in the chat. And so I'm going to jump in the chat and I am going to ask you guys to build this with me. So are we in for a team effort, everybody? And you got to like give me some flack if I mess up on, you know, numbers and everything, because I'm building this as we go. So team effort. I'm in the chat. Lauren's in the chat watching. I am going to make sure you're awake and paying attention. You're going to be with me every step of the way. And also, Lauren, I wanted to mention, I did mention this before, you might get an email from me. I have 2 finance classes coming up in May, and one of them's tomorrow and one of them's next week, and people can also sign up for that. So I wanted everybody to know that. Okay, no further ado, guys. Here we go. Let's see what I can pull off with my let's share a blank template. So let me first get the share on here. Is it? Here it is. Okay. So, you know, I love to make up a company all the time, and I like to make up something so you have an example. So what I made up today, and let me get everything arranged here, my desktop arranged. You can see the Excel document, right, Lauren?
I sure can.
And if I click on different things, you can see it click on different things, right?
Yes, I can see everything.
Okay. So I just recently had to do a photo shoot to get new pictures. We're going to have a new picture coming out. My other one's been kind of old, right? So when I decided to make up this company, I decided to make up a company that I'm a photographer. And I asked Lauren, our kid's out of school soon, right? Well, you know what happens around this time when you have a senior, you need senior portraits. So in my little company that I'm making up, I sell my skills for just doing a portrait, right? And I made up these numbers, guys. They may not even make sense. I didn't even test all these numbers. So this is live, man. This is live, okay? So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell a photo shoot and I'm going to sell a photo book. So I don't even know exactly what this is because I'm making it up, but it's some kind of book that I put together with all the photos and maybe it has some cool stuff. I don't know, but I'm going to sell a photo book. The reason why I did this is I'm representing a service business and I'm representing a product business. I tried to mesh the two together so we can look at it from both angles. Now, there's something I want you to notice immediately, everybody. Focus on this. Do you notice that I have a zero cost here on the photo shoot? I'm saying I sell, like if you wanted to get a portrait for your child, I'm going to say I do, a photo shoot for you for $300, but I have a zero cost here. And if you know, I always am telling you, if you're selling your own time, you have to have a number in there for the cost. I'm all of a sudden saying something completely different. Well, that's strange, isn't it? Let's figure out why. When we do analysis, hence why I won't give you guys a template, we have to understand what is our goal, because the numbers we use will change depending on our goal. If my goal was profitability, to identify how profitable I am, how much am I selling my time, like we talked about in the last session, I would put a cost. But today, I want you to think cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, cash in, cash out. Anything outside of cash in and cash out can have a certain kind of made up numbers. But when it comes to cash, you can't go to the bank and say, let me make up a positive balance of 10,000. You can't, it's actual. In fact, you may have heard the expression, it's a longtime CFO expression, but cash is king, meaning you can't distort cash. So you're going to see that we are going to look at numbers completely different than when I talk about profitability and I talk about cost structure and all that. We are looking at actual numbers. Cash is king. So does it cost me money to do the photo shoot, I should say? Well, from the perspective of ask this question, am I writing a check to somebody for this? No, I'm not. I'm not writing a check to me. I don't have to take aside cash to write it to me. I'm looking at how much cash flow I have, but I don't have a vendor that I have to pay. That's why it gets a zero. So my gross profit in this case is 300. Now, with the photo book that I'm creating, I do have to write a check to a vendor. And in this case, the cost is $30. It cost me $30 to buy the material to make this book. No labor, no time, different look. If we were doing profitability, I'd say make sure the labor's in there. Make sure you use a number same as what you would pay somebody else to make this book. We're doing a different focus. So therefore, the number is 30 because I am writing a check to a vendor for $30. So in the case of the photo book, the gross profit is 70. So note that there's zero cost because this is a cash flow, not a profitability analysis. And this represents the gross profit. This represents the actual cash I will have after I pay out any cost to produce. Key point. Thumbs up. Everybody got that main concept? Everybody okay on that? We're good to go. Like you said, communicate with me in the chat if you have any questions, but let me know we all got that. Okay. So now I know how much it cost me to produce my product and service outside of my own labor and my own cost. That's what I wanted to know. Now I know that, okay? So the next thing I have to do is come up with my overhead bills. So I did this really simple. I don't want to have a lot of numbers in here. I want to make this simple. So what I did is I said the rent is $50 on a monthly amount, okay? And so 600 on a year just kind of gives me that number. My cell phone is 20 on a monthly amount. Marketing, I already committed to spending 40 on a monthly amount. My insurance I have to pay for my company is 200, but I pay that on a yearly amount. And I made this little box that says, well, is this on a monthly or a yearly? This is on a yearly, because once again, I'm looking at cash. If it costs me $200 every August, I'm not paying out any money in June. I'm not paying out any money in July. I'm not paying out any money until August, okay? So when I look at overhead bills, what I'm looking at is this is the amount of cash that must go out every single month. This is the amount of cash that is specific to just August. Okay, thumbs up. Everybody good? Got me so far? Okay. Now, not all companies is going to have what I'm about to go over next, but some do. So I want to make mention to this. So I might have accounts receivable. Now, accounts receivable is that money that is owed to me from clients. Accounts receivable is very common when we give terms, 30-day terms, 60-day terms, 90-day terms, right? But accounts receivables is not that common when you're using credit cards for your clients to pay by credit card, because you get it deposited usually 2 or 3 days later. So the amount of time you are carrying the money is very short. So it's pretty much right then. But if you have a situation where you're giving somebody terms, you have to look at, when am I going to get paid? And am I sure I'm going to get paid? If they haven't been paying you in 6 months, you don't say, I'm going to get paid next month. We're not forecasting. We're not hoping. We're not dreaming here, guys. We're looking at what we believe to be actual true. In this case, the more you make up something that is not true, the more you harm yourself on the outcome. Now, at the end of the day, I could have client 1 that owes me 150 and they're going to pay in July. Client 2 that owes me 150 and they're going to pay in July. I got client 2 that's going to pay 150 in September. And so what I really care about, and all I'm doing is a quick formula to sum these two numbers, right? What I really care about is what is the total amount coming in and when is it coming in. Now, I did a really interesting thing here. What I did is I went ahead and I said the blue equals a deposit and the pinkish equals a final payment. So you can see that here's a final payment, client 1. I may have, had them do a deposit back here. In this case, client 2 is doing a deposit in July and they're doing a final payment in September. So that's another way for me to understand whether it's a deposit or a final payment. But this is the numbers that really matter to me, because it tells me how much cash is coming in. So right so far, I know this is what my product costs to produce. These are my overhead bills and something I'm going to have to pay in a specific month. This is how much clients owe me. Now, remember, in my product listing, I also did photo books and I had a cost, which was $30, right? So this would be above and beyond my overhead bills, because there's no cost in here to pay for the book, okay? So accounts payable is money I owe, and I called it a frame, but I changed it later to a book. So this is my photo book. This is the actual photo book, okay? And so what I'm doing is I'm paying it for the photo book, and I paid the vendor, but I just happened to owe a vendor $10 in July. Once again, made up numbers. So this is how much I owe somebody, okay? So what is the most important aspect about this? It tells me exactly how much I'm selling it at, what's the cost, how much is left over in cash. What I'm selling, what's the cost, how much is left over in cash. Thumbs up, because now we're going to put this dance together. Overhead bills tells me per month, tells me when I have to make a major payment. Thumbs up, we know that. Accounts receivable is what it is that somebody owes me, a client owes me, and accounts payables is how much I have to pay out, okay? So now we're gonna put that whole dance together, and this is where I need you guys' help, okay? So let's form this cash flow. First of all, I just did a skeleton, so I didn't have to type all this. But all I did here is I'm only going to look at 4 months. You would look longer. I wanted to make this simple. So I said I'm going to start this in June. So I got June, July, August, September. That's pretty simple, right? Okay. Now, when I'm looking at cash, obviously I have some money in the bank account, at least $1, right? So I have to consider the money I already have in the bank account. Now, when I say I'm looking at the bank account balance, you cannot go online and check your balance. Does anybody know why? Can you type in why I can't just stick my online balance in there? Because I see people make this mistake all the time and they don't pick up on why. Does anybody know why I can't just go online and put whatever the number I see online into my account balance section? It is because in your online balance, could you have an outstanding check that didn't come through? Could you have a deposit that's about to happen? Could you have a commitment? It doesn't account for who owes you. Exactly, Heather. It doesn't account for who you owe, who you actually have a liability to, right? So if my online balance says it's $10, but I knew I already wrote a check to last month's bills, but it didn't come in yet, I got to deduct that. So what you have to look at is when I say bank balance, you got to pretend that a clock stops right now. So I take my bank balance and pretend everything just stops. And it has days with no new transactions to clear through. So everything you already committed to, you already wrote the check, came through, and anything else came through. That's the number you want to use, okay? Now, what I did is I made this very simple. Clients, money in. So this is accounts receivable. This is money in. This is money coming in, okay? Vendors, this is the frames. This is money going, I should say, clients is money coming in, vendors is money going out, okay? Now, my overhead, I got my rent, my cell phone, my marketing, etc. This is also money going out, okay? This is money going out. And then what I have here is the money difference in versus out. Now, what I try to use just like plain language for that. I want you guys to imagine a personal budget. Personal, because people understand personal. You could sit and say, well, in this month, not even looking at your checkbook balance, but you say in this month, I'm bringing in this much salary, net pay after I have all, the taxes taken out. I have this much for my rent. I have this much for groceries. I have this much from the movies. I have this much for this. So in this month, I actually had more money coming in than going out. That's ideally what we want, right? But then you could look at the next month and go, I got to make this big payment. So I got this much money coming in, but I got this much money going out. So I had more money going out than I came in, but luckily I had cash in the bank to cover it. I had a bank balance. So when we look at this in a column, we're saying how much money came in versus how much money came out right here. How much money came in versus how much money came out. How much money came in versus how much money came out. Okay. So guys, you ready? Here we go. Let's stick one number in and see what this does. Let's go to the overhead bills. How much did I say I was going to pay for rent per month? $50. Okay. So I'm going to come here to the cash. And I'm going to put $50 in June. Look at what happened. I have a negative 50. I have more money going out than coming in. So it's a negative 50. But there's no money coming in and going out here. So it's zero. No money coming in and going out here. It's zero. No money coming in and going out, zero. But what happens is I have a negative cash balance of 50. So if I looked at my checkbook register, I would have negative 50. And I had no money coming in, no money going out. So it's still negative 50. No money coming in, no money going out, still negative 50. Give me a response in the chat. Everybody getting what I just did. While you're doing that, I'm just going to take the 50 because I have to pay for the 50 every month, don't I? So check it out. Now look what happens. Thank you guys. I know you're out there. I'm not by myself. Thank you. Okay, look what happens. What I did is I say I got to pay rent every single month. So what if I had nothing else happen? I got 50 coming in and out, 50 coming out but nothing in, 50 coming out but nothing in. So this stays negative 50 each time, right? Because I don't have any money coming in. but every single month I have $50 coming out. So I can say, well, did I, do well for any month? No, I got $50 coming out every month. Well, I then have a negative bank balance of $50 goes out. I got a negative bank balance of 100. 50 goes out. I got a negative bank balance of 150. 50 goes out. I got a negative balance of 200. Thumbs up. Everybody got how we did that, right? So you can see right away, it's telling me, well, how am I going to be negative? How much am I going to be negative? How much am I going to be negative after 4 months? It's giving me a lot of data. It's telling me what's happening in a week or a month, I should say, a month. And this is telling me how is my checkbook balance going to be, okay? Well, I don't just have $50. Yes, you can add in a loan payment. You absolutely can. In fact, I'm going to talk about that. Excellent question. Glad to see you guys are out here. So yes, hold that loan payment thought. We're going to get there. I'm going to now populate the rest of this, okay? So we go in the overhead bills. I have a cell phone, right? So I know the cell phone's $20. Now I could either type 20 in every time. No Excel tricks here. This is just typing in numbers. And you got to look at the math here. All I'm doing is I'm adding these two together. I know that this is money coming out. So it's $50 out, negative 50, $20 out, negative 20. It's minus 70. This is the calculator. You could have a crayon and a piece of paper and calculate this. I know that means that it's negative 70 out. If negative 70, $70 loss here, negative 70 again, it's negative 140. No complicated math here whatsoever, guys. Okay, let's go get the next one. $40 for the marketing. Okay, 40, 40, 40, 40. I'm just doing it nice and slow so you follow me. Now, we know that I have a $200 insurance payment and it's only paid in August, okay? Picture that this is a loan payment paid in September. No difference, $200 in just August. So watch, I go over to my cash flow, I find August and I put one number in, 200. Do you see how that could have been no different than your loan payment? Same thing. It could have just, if this said loan and I put it in September and that was your loan payment, I would have done the exact same thing. So what I've done so far is I've populated the cells with the money that must go out every single month. I recognized when the money must go out in 1 month. I didn't take this and divide by 4 or 12 because I'm not paying the money out in this month. I'm paying the money out here. Once again, this is a cash flow statement. If I was looked at profitability, I would have divided this evenly amongst 12 months, but I'm looking at cash flow. You must always think in your mind, cash in, cash out, actual cash. So what I've done right now is I've just put in my overhead. You can see how this is making sense. If I had zero money coming in, I would be out $640 by September. That's what this is telling me, okay? But luckily, I got some money in the bank account. So let's say I've got $1,500 in the bank account, okay? So I got $1,500 in the bank account. Yay, I'm no longer negative. But you can see that what it's telling me is the $1,500 in the bank account minus the overhead gives me a positive balance and a positive difference because of the fact that I got this money in the bank. If I didn't have the money in the bank, I wouldn't. But I don't have money in the bank the following months. What it does is it shows me here, I got $1,500. By the time I spend money on my overhead, I have $1,390. By the time I spend money on this overhead, I got $1,280. By the time I spend money on this overhead, I got $970. By the time I spend money on this overhead, I got $860. Thumbs up, everybody with me so far? Okay, you ready? We got to keep going now. So, awesome, got some responses, yay, okay. What am I missing? Can anybody know what do I have to do now? I have to go back and say, but wait a minute. Some clients owe me money. They're going to pay me. Yay, somebody's going to pay me. So I can go into my accounts receivables and I say, well, in July, how much money am I going to get in July? Let's see if you guys are paying attention. How much money will I receive in July from clients? D. This is like the Jeopardy for those that, yes, Louis, 300. So I'm going to go to my cash flow. I'm going to find July, and it's money in, and I'm going to put 300 in. Okay. Whoa, my balance went up because now what I'm saying is 300 went in, right? So notice that this is now 190. It's positive. Let me take that out for a second. Okay, watch this number, guys. Keep your eye right there on that 190. Okay, I'm going to take this out for a second. You notice I lost money that month, right? But the minute I put the 300 in, I actually had a positive gain that month. Okay, so that's the part we want to see. It's telling me, that's what this is telling me here. Now, the thing though is I do owe some money. In July, I owe for the book $10. So I actually owe money. So in July, money out for vendors is $10. Okay, so what I've done, and I just made these numbers up, this is my first time even looking at them together, we can see that if nothing else happens, by the end of September, I will have 1,150, okay? Now, let's pretend for a second, I'm going to change just one of these. I'm going to change marketing, okay? And I'm going to change it to a loan, okay? I have an idle loan, and I'm making up a number here. I have to pay 100 every single month for this idle loan. I don't know what it's going to do. I'm making up numbers. Okay, so I'm getting lower on how much I'm having to pay out. Let me make sure these numbers are in here. Let's see, 12. Yep. So now I'm down to $910, right? So then I can turn around and say, uh-oh, my rent, I had gotten a reduced rent allowance from my landlord, but she said, come August, he or she, come August, I have to go back to a rent of 250. Look at, I'm down to 510, right? So I'm like, uh-oh, things are getting really tight here, really, really tight. And I think my insurance is going to go up. It's going to go up to 300. I'm down to $410. Oh, my client isn't going to pay me now. I'm down to 150. I'm down to 260. So do you see how I can turn around and I can look at the actual cash position that I'm currently going to be in, when I'm going to be in what situation? So let's say, now I'm just wanting to make the numbers change so you can get an idea. Say that I had, and I'm making up numbers to see, say that I had $500 only into the bank account. And remember, these are small numbers. You could have many zeros after it. You show the same thing. So first of all, so see if you're paying attention. If I had the scenario that you're looking at now, what is going to be my cash balance at the end of September? Deep. Cash balance at the end of September. Nope. Try again. Cash balance, end of September. Yes, but you need a negative number, which you may not be able to see on the thing. Negative number. Exactly. You got it. Negative 590. Now, which months, you ready for this? Awesome. Which months will I have more money coming in than going out? Which months will I have more money coming in than going out? July, correct. June is the other one, but not August. See the negative number, which you guys may not be able to see the negative numbers as well. I don't, there's sometimes hard. I should have made them where they turn red. So I'm going to have positive coming in here. I have no money that anybody owes me. So if I used to call it, if I close the business, and I did this in turnaround days when I would look at it, and wasn't meaning I was closing the business. I wanted to see if I stopped time, just as it is now. I just stopped time. But I knew I had to commit to these bills for this amount of time. How will this all sort through? How much cash do I have for how long? It's another way of looking at it. Like people say, if I get laid off, how much cash do I have to pay the bills before I'm completely out of cash? If I get hurt and I don't get a paycheck for how long? How much cash reserves do I have? In so many ways, guys, this is no different than personal finances. It's the same thing. I have this much in my bank. I owe this much. I have this much money I'm coming in. Maybe I have this much in the bank. I have a check I get for being laid off, a severance pay. I get this amount and I don't get unemployment in this case, right? And so then I have to pay this out that I haven't paid out and I got these monthly bills. How long can I last? I can't last very long. In fact, you ready? Let's make sure we got this. How long can I last? What month am I out of money? Or whichever way you want to word it, you got to put some words next to it. What months am I able to pay my bills up to? What month am I first out of money? You're correct. Absolutely, Lewis. I'll be out of month by August. Yes, Sharon, August. Excellent. Things are not going to look good by August, okay? Now, excellent, excellent. Everybody's getting this. So you can see what I've done so far in this very simple thing. Now, keep in mind, it doesn't matter if you add more cells here, if you have more situations. All I'm doing is I'm saying in this, if you look at this number is just this plus this. So let's not say this. The money I have in the bank plus any money coming in from a client minus any money I have to pay to a vendor minus all my overhead bills equals this difference. And then it starts out with that being the balance. It's the first month because that's my balance. And then once again, no money in the bank because we're looking at it down here. And then you say all the money coming in, all the money going out, all the money going out. This is the difference for the month. This plus this, because this is a positive number plus a positive number. I have 450 in my bank now. This month I have negative 670 come out. So I got $450 in the bank, but I spent 670. I'm negative 220. That's why I have no more money in August. Okay. And thank you, Sharon. I appreciate that comment. She says it makes it so simple. This is so wonderful. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. So now comes the really cool thing as well. Now, I explained it to you to say, I look at this first as if I stop time and I say, where am I now? So what I suggest to everybody on this call, and I suggest it to all clients, especially now, given where we're at financially, having suffered so much from the pandemic, lower sales, higher costs from inflation, not trying to be negative or anything here. I'm just being factual, factual. You have to have a complete understanding of where you are financially because, you've had the ultimate happen. Sales may have decreased for many of you. Then you have your expenses have increased, been higher, your costs, but also you took on loans. Even though they're 30-year loans, the loan payments are now starting to have to be made. And so what happened over the last 2 years is the companies been, and this is CFO talk if you just follow me, but artificially propagated on money, the PPP and the idle money came in, and now that's kind of worked through the companies. Many people have spent all that money. You have to see where you are, how far you can go, but we don't stop there. So now that you got this, what we're going to do next is we're going to take, and this is kind of, my way of looking at this. Like I said, this is Loriisms, as my clients call them. You're not going to find another webinar that's teaching this because these are the tools I've created and when I've been trying to do something. So they're not your standard tools. I'm doing what is called managerial accounting. To those of you who have taken any of my accounting classes, there's financial accounting, which is creating forms, filling out forms like tax returns, financial statements, profit and loss, balance sheet. Financial accounting has to follow very strict rules and regulations about the layout and the presentation. Managerial accounting gives us much more flexibility where we create what we're trying to understand in an Excel document, and we don't concern ourselves with, is this the standard way? Is everybody going to see this and know what it means? Actually, by the time you get where you're done building it for yourself, usually just you understand because you created it custom to your situation. And this is why I am not into templates, because unless you understand this and you understand where the numbers go, you don't get the analysis. When you build something, I mean, it's just like if you ever built something and it broke, you know how to fix it. But you didn't build your car, it breaks, you don't know how to fix it. In small businesses, you can't just take your company to a mechanic. You can to a CFO, but most people can't afford that, right? So I am making you build these so you understand them inside and out on a cellular level. You get every one of these numbers, and that only happens when you build them. And if I give you a template that you spent all these hours in putting in numbers and you don't understand it, it's done you no good. Okay, let's go back to where we are now. So what we have is we have I'm going to call it static. It's very static. It's looking at exactly where we are. Okay. Oh, Heather, I'll go over the commands right before. So I'll show you. I'll give you some few Excel tricks to use Excel. So remind me of that, Heather. Heather's asking about the commands. They're so friggin' simple. And you can do this in Google Sheet, and you can also do it with a piece of paper, but I'll get to that before I go. Okay, so guys, I need all attention because I'm going to make it really cool now. Okay, I'm going to turn it from this static and I'm going to make it dynamic. And I'll tell you what I mean by this. So right now, we know the problem. We know that in this case with these numbers, I'm going to be $590 in the hole from September. That means I'm dead. I'm out of the water. You know, I can't have a negative bank account, right? And so I'm either going to have to borrow $590 to keep me going. That's where I get that number. This also tells me how much would I have to borrow to keep going. But wait a minute, it's June. I'm a photographer. I sell photography. And it's senior portrait time. So surely I can maybe go get some new clients, and those new clients can help me to get through my dilemma. But I have to remember that I have to book them, and I have to get a session, and I have to get paid before I do. So if I book somebody in, let's say, pretend I book 20 people in October. Let's just pretend that. If I book 20 people in October, well, I'm going to be out of money in September. So I'm going to have to borrow money till October. But it's a lot better for me to know that I got to borrow money till October versus I have to borrow money till next year. So what I want to do now is I've answered the very first question. Given my current cash position, when will I be out of cash? What will it look like? Now I want to answer another question, and that question is, what would my sales have to be in order to make things doable, financially feasible? And as I go into answering that question, I want to introduce a concept that I'm sure you probably have never heard before, and I want to give you a mindset on it, okay? So when people think about finance, they think about, even though they don't use these words, they think about historical data. I'm getting my data together and I'm getting it ready to fill out my tax returns. Like I said, that's financial accounting. Or they think I'm going to forecast and I'm going to identify the exact number of sales I believe I am going to have, and I'm going to plug that number in, okay? Well, I'm wanting to introduce to you a new thought process. It sounds like the forecasting, but it's not. It's what I call parameters. And this is once again a Laurieism, okay? But I use this constantly, especially when I do big finance stuff. I am doing financial parameters. I'm doing what must happen for this to occur. What's the parameters, okay? So if I was saying I'm going to get in my car in California and I was going to drive to New York, I could identify several routes, and I could say, what is the route? How many gallons of gas? And what is the dollar amount per gallon that I am going to have to spend to get there? Okay, that's a parameter. I cannot get there the fastest route, meaning the shortest, like a crow's fly, if you will, unless I have at least this much money to put in the gas tank. So that tells me what is it gotta be? What's the drop date, right? But then I could also say, well, if I went this way, how much would be the parameter? If I went this way, how much would be the parameter? So what I'm doing is I'm figuring out what it must be And then I back in and go, do I have that money in my bank account? Do I have that money coming in? Do I have a way of getting access to that money? Can I borrow that money? So what I'm doing is I'm not like just putting a number in and going, I know it's going to work. I put a number in. It looks great. I'm literally saying, what does it have to be? And then the feasibility of that. And it makes sense because sometimes I'll look at things and I'll do these analysis and I'll say, my financial parameter is that we have to sell 100 units per day, and we've never sold over 20 units per day. It ain't going to happen, guys. It just ain't going to happen. That tells you this is not going to work. So what it does is it allows you to create an analysis based on parameters and then figure out the feasibility of that happening. And that is so much more valuable in these situations than just saying, well, I think I'm going to get this many clients. It's really a mindset. It looks the same, but it's a mindset. Okay. Thumbs up on the concept. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a cash flow forecast. I am taking all of this data with me. Nothing's changing. Every single thing you learned here is here. I'm just adding 2 rows, and it was easier for me to just copy this than to try to recreate it in the time I have. So if you notice, look, let's go bank balance right here, clients money in right here, vendors money out right here, overheads here, the differences in here. Look at 590, I linked the cells. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing, guys. No tricks, same thing. But what I'm doing is I'm adding a new concept. I'm saying, what if I get new clients and then I'm going to have a new vendor bill because I sell photo shoots and I sell photo books. Okay. So this is the data, and I got to extend this so you see it. So hold on while I get my Excel a little bit wider. Okay. We got to go back to this. When I sell a photo shoot for 300, it's my time. I don't have to write a check to anybody. Okay. My gross profit is 300, but I ask for half a deposit of a 150 prior to the shoot. We got to pull that data back. When I do a photo book, I sell it for 100. It costs $30 for me to buy the book, and my gross profit is 70. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start looking at parameters, and it looks like forecast. It's just a different mindset. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, and I'm going to write it here. I'm making this up as I go along. I have a client that I'm pretty sure is booking in August. And the reason why I'm really sure is they've got 2 kids. I did their one child last year, and I did their cousins. I did, I've been working with this family, and I know in August they want senior portraits. They already told me. So I'm pretty sure that by August, I am going to be taking a photo. I'm going to be taking a photo. Okay. So the August is the actual photo shoot. Okay. And that means that what I do is I have it payable within 1 week. I'm just making this up how I do it. Okay. So that, and what the deposit has to happen is I make the deposit happen 1 month early. I'm just making this up. It could be anything. Okay. So I know that I am going to be taking the picture in August. So the photo shoot's going to be August 1st, let's say. And I am going to make sure that they have to pay me within the first week. Okay. So if I am getting a deposit 1 month earlier, okay, guys, you ready? Here we go. What month do I first get paid what amount of money? Who can answer that? What month do I first get paid what amount of money? Ding, ding. September 150, July 150, July 150, exactly correct. So what happens is if I'm doing the photo shoot in August and I get paid a deposit 1 month early and I get half a deposit, it is going to be in July, I will get 150 for the photo shoot. You can see, guys, why templates don't work. You have to look at exactly what is going on here to understand the business model, the way transactions occur within the business. Okay, totally on. I got 150 in August. So let's stay with this thought. Or July, I apologize, if July. So if I charge a half a deposit in July and the photo shoots in August, and you have to pay me within the next week, what amount of money am I getting next from clients, from this client? Yes, exactly. We got 150. Perfect. Now, I have no vendor bills whatsoever. I have no vendor bills, okay? Now, what happens is when I make a book, I make them pay immediately, and I have to pay the vendor within a day. So I have to pay the vendor. So these all happen right around the same day, right? I have to pay when I purchase, okay? Let's say that, right? And I make the book within 1 month. So this all really happens within 1 month. Well, I know that this client is also going to buy a book, right? And I got to take the photos first. So basically the book is in August, okay? So if, I'm going to have you guys tell me, what is the amount that I get for the photo book, the amount I get, cash paid to me, and how much? Close. Think about it. What is the selling price of the book? It's not 70. Yes, it's 100. So what happens is in August, I get paid an additional $100 for the book, okay? But I have a cost to buy the book. When do I have to pay the cost? When do I have to pay that cost? Yes, in August, exactly. You're right. And I have to put it in vendor bills. Excellent. Somebody's totally following it. Went too fast. I didn't catch the name. So you could see that I'm still not doing well. But what if, okay, what if I just take this number and I turn around and I say, what is my parameter? I want to understand my parameter, right? So what is my parameter? Okay, I can turn around and I could come over here. I'm going to build this here real quick. Let's see if I can pull this off. I'm going to get clients, and I'm going to put the number of clients, if I can spell. And this is the sell price. Okay, and so if I have one client, it's 150. I could do this with a formula. I'm doing this very simple, 300, right? So you could see if I have 3 clients, you could see what I'm doing. You know, it's 150, 300, I could go on, right? I could turn around and I could analyze this and I could say, well, what if I had 2 clients and only one bought the book? Okay, I'm $80. Hey, Lewis, awesome. You're right. I needed 2 clients to stop being negative. Excellent, Lewis. You're absolutely right. I need 2 clients. So what do I need to stay in business? I need 2 clients. I need them in July and August. I could have them. You see what's happening here though is I have a negative and I'm relying on my 450. So I got to get them by August, because if I turn around and get them by September, I'm going to have a problem, right? So you can see exactly what I need in this scenario. So what I've done here is I've added this section, but guys, you have to be conscious that this is the amount you keep. And what I did is I made it into new clients and new vendors. I could use the gross profit and I could make it one line, but this spells it out very, very, very easily. Okay, Heather, are you out there and are you watching me, Heather? Here we go, okay? I want you to look up here. Heather, can you see where my cursor is? Up there? Okay, everybody look up here. Let's look at the formulas. There's very little. This, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look on this one first because I'm grouping back here. I don't want to complicate it for a second. So hold on. Let's go back here to look at formulas. We're looking at formulas. This is a number. That's all it is. I typed it in. This is a number. I typed it in. This is a number. I typed it in. Number. Nothing more than numbers, guys. That's all these are, is thoughts, brain typed in. Now, when I want to know the difference, all I'm really saying is the money in minus the money out, okay? I want to show something. I think most people know this, but if you don't, I want to show you something. I'm just taking some numbers here to show you something, guys. That's all. I'm just typing in some numbers. If I want to get the total of all these numbers, I can do it 2 ways. I can go equal this plus this plus this, okay? Or I can go equals sum, open paren, grab what I want, close paren. I can do it one of two ways, okay? So when you look at the formula, I put E plus cash in, there's no number there, E6, plus or minus cash out, minus the sum. Let's go over it again. It's just a formula that says this cell. In fact, if I can get zoomed to, I'm going to show you guys something that if I can get zoomed and get out of here so I can see something, because sometimes Zoom controls, if anybody, there's this really cool trick. Okay, I got to my Excel document. There's this really cool trick. So you click on here and you go trace precedence. Isn't that cool? So what it's doing is it's showing me that this number is this number, this number, this number, and these numbers, right? So you can see it's this number, account balance, plus this number, minus this number, minus this number. And then you just remove arrows. And you can also have where you go trace dependence. And it shows me what it's dependent on. It's really, really, really cool. I use that a lot. But Heather, all I did was I did a sum and a plus. That's all I did. Plus, minus, literally this plus, this minus this, nothing fancy. Okay, now let's go to here. This equaled this because it's the first month. So if I take 500 in the bank, I subtract my overhead, I have then a difference in the column, sorry, I meant to click there, of 330, but I also have that exact same number. I have 330. That's where I start, right? So then if you look at this column, it's once again the same thing. This plus minus this is 120. Well, what is the bank balance? The bank balance is E16, which is this number, plus this number. What's this bank balance? This number plus this number. What is this bank balance? This number plus this number. Now, notice that I have parentheses around this formula up here. I do that because sometimes it's a negative symbol. So I got to have a negative, I have to have parentheses. So it recognizes that this number plus negative number, okay? So that's all it is. And when you come over here in the cash flow, I just had these linked so they would change accordingly. That's not anything you need to know. And of course, this is more pluses and minuses. So you can see, guys, a couple things. I didn't do anything complicated just now. You guys tell me if you think I did, but I did something pretty simple. So let's go through a summary. I figured out what the cost was, that the actual cost to produce my product, in this case, right? My service, there was no cost. So I first figured out, what am I selling it at? What is the cost? What is left over? What am I selling at? What's the cost? What's left over? That's the first thing I did, really simple. I listed my overhead bills and I considered when the cash actually came out. I made myself a little note. This is in August, it's not monthly. I then figured out, when are clients going to pay me? If they haven't, many of you wouldn't have this part. I figured out what bills other than overhead do I owe, which I owed some money passed on a photo book. Then I took and I built a cash in, cash out. I figured out the formulas of how much is coming in a month, how much is not. And then I turn around and I figure out the difference and I figure out the cash balance. Then I created a forecast that I could identify the number of people that I have to sell to make it okay. So there is nothing simple. These documents can get very complicated because you got a lot of moving parts, but it's just like somebody had mentioned math and algebra. A plus B equals B plus A. I can use that to find X with just a few letters, or I could have a mathematical formula that Einstein would use, but it still follows the simple processes. It's just they became more complex in thought processes and desires to understand things. So the foundation of what I showed you will never change. All you're doing is adding additional layers, what the company may have. You know, may have more accounts payables, may have more different products you want to analyze. So these can become more elaborate, but they never remove themselves from the simple underlining structure. Now, the other two thoughts before I leave you is, that you can understand that it's really, really important to first know what is your cash position. Where are you now? Can you make it? And most people will have a negative here because you do need new sales coming in, but you start here. And then you can look at what must I sell in order to keep going. This is not only a process that I utilize when companies are in trouble, but I utilize it on a monthly, quarterly, weekly basis, depending on how much I'm having to monitor the cash flow. You know, doing turnaround consulting for years, I would come into $1 million companies, but they didn't have the cash. And I was robbing from Peter to pay Paul. I would use this and I would say to the controller, you have X amount of dollars for this week, and that's all you can spend. And what would happen, and if you guys ever called a company looking for payables, you know, the controller would say, well, the CFO has authorized the payments for the week. I'm going to have to wait and see next week how much we can pay. I was using this, albeit more elaborate. I was doing the exact same thing. It's my opinion that I don't care if you're selling cookies at a farmer's market or you're selling everywhere, $1 million company, you need to have these tools in place. You need to have these tools in place. And I think if there was ever a time in my 30 plus years of consulting that these tools are extremely important, it's now, and it's in the small companies. So I'm hoping that I've inspired everybody to create these tools. Now, the great thing is this is recorded. Lauren's going to come on in a second and she's going to tell you how you can watch this again and again and again. So you've got this, you can see me build it, you can go through it, you can stop it, you can start it. This is a video tutorial, if you will. And to answer some quick questions, Heather, you absolutely could do credit cards. Keep in mind, this can say anything. This could, the insurance could say a credit card payment, right? And then you could turn around and you can say, well, I would like to pay 100 on my credit card. Can I pay 100? Could I pay 200? But if I pay 200, how many clients do I have to get? See, this is like a magic answer board, okay? You look at your scenario, you ask a question, and this gives you an answer. And I have to say, I may have said your name wrong, but I love what you just wrote. This knowledge is helping me reduce my anxiety about not having enough cash. This is so important. I tell people this and I say it all the time. Small businesses have a fictitious belief that they manage by their gut and they just kind of try it and see what happens. And I'm saying, no, that causes anxiety. We CFOs still end up in the same place, but we know it's coming. We know exactly what's going to happen. We have the pulse. The last thing, and I know I'm running over, but the last thing I want to say is when you do these type of analytical tools, not only does it reduce anxiety, but it gives you my favorite word in the whole English language, my favorite word, and that's choice. If you know in advance, you have choices. If you're like several of the clients that contacted me through the SBDC this week, I'm out of cash, can I get any money? No. You know, if you were going to be out of cash and you knew we could have maybe done something, you know, so this gives you choice. It gives you the ability to respond, not react, to respond, not react. Okay. So guys, you guys that are with me all the time, you notice I always tell you the upcoming class. I wanted to wait until this one. Next week, we're going to have a blank Excel document. We're going to go the next step with this, okay? And then we're going to go back to guest interviews. But next week, we're going to start with a blank Excel document. We're going to look at this again, and I'm going to show you some more tricks to add on to this, which is kind of adding on to the one I did. I guess it's been a month ago. So with that, Lauren, I'm going to send it back to you.
Lori, that was awesome. All I see are thank yous and fantastic and thank yous, and this was great. I started my Excel sheet as well. So I'm I'm in the trenches with everyone.
Awesome. That's awesome. And remind everybody how they can watch this again and again, because I know some people that want to know. And also a note, if you want to sign up as an SBDC client, Lauren gives you that. If you want to have a one-on-one and we can build this together, you can start building and I can help you. Get in touch with Lauren and how to get a one-on-one with me. And Lauren did put in the chat the 2 upcoming finance classes that I have, and you can easily join those and check those out as well. Okay, Lauren, to you.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you so much. So just as quick follow-up, I re-added those classes. So there's the one on May 19th, Finance Literacy Session 1. And then there's also May 26th at 10 a.m., Finance Literacy Session 2. So everyone check the chat so that you can see the links to those registrations. I also had added a link to our YouTube, and our YouTube has all our past shows, Lori. So today's show will be on later today, actually. And then let's see what else. I included my email address so that anyone who wants to set a one-on-one with you, they can do so. Just send me an email, let us know what you'd like to talk about, and we'll get something scheduled with you and of course, Lori. And then lastly, for those who aren't clients, I shared a link for those of you who aren't clients. Please click that link, sign up as an SBDC client, and then send me an email so that I know that that's what you've done, and then we can get you connected with Lori as well. So I think I've covered it all, Lori.
have. So with everybody, get out your pencil, your crayon, your piece of paper, your calculator, your Excel document, your Google Doc, your Pages document. Don't care. Easy math. Start doing the math. Good, bad, and ugly. It's always good to know, because then you have choice. So with that, Lauren, I know you always stay a little bit behind, so I am taking off. We'll see everybody next week, and then we're going to have another Excel, and then after that we have Emma coming back, which is really exciting. The week after that, I have somebody coming to speak about them having to sell their company, the experience of getting a business broker and everything that they went through in order to have that happen. Some valuable information, really, really important. And then I haven't got the exact dates, but I'm going to have someone that works constantly with clients to help them facilitate getting loans. He's an advisor. Nate's coming on, Lauren. So Nate's going to come on, and we're going to talk about, in order to apply for a loan, what documents do you have to have? What do you have to have ready? Just kind of for those that are now saying, okay, where can I get other money? Nate's going to come and share that experience with you. And so that's kind of in the next 2-3 weeks that we got coming up. So lots of cool things. So with that, I've run way over time. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Everybody in the chat, giving me the answers, all that. This is totally great. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, Lauren.
Bye, Lori. Thank you so much. For our listeners or viewers, excuse me, I am going to hang back so that you guys can collect those links in the chat. Again, our YouTube is in the chat, as well as the link to sign up as an SBDC client. I've included my email address so that you can connect with Lori. Anything more, please reach out, and we'll see you again next week at 10 a.m. for another session of SmallBiz Talk, solutions for your small business. Thank you.